Fasting is a practice that involves intentionally restricting your food or fluid intake for a variety of reasons, ranging from dietary goals to religious beliefs and even medical testing. But before we get into the crux of how to fast effectively, let's take a moment to unravel the science behind this intriguing practice. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, and my name is Dr. Inasu. I'm a medical doctor with an interest in lifestyle medicine. I'm also a coach to people looking to become the best versions of themselves, physically or mentally. So feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions about your health or career. So, where did all these trends of fasting come from, and does it have any role in human history? Indeed, it does. In our modern food-abundant world, it might be hard to look back and realize that our ancestors had a very different relationship with food. They primarily ate for one simple reason: survival. They naturally practiced intermittent fasting, or fasting for many days, as hunter-gatherers, seizing opportunities to consume meals when they presented themselves. Their eating habits were shaped by their environment, often resulting in 1 or 2 meals a day at most, or sometimes not a single meal for days. This is why there are so many remnants of ancient practices in every religion, and they all have some form of fasting incorporated into their teachings, as the benefits of fasting was very clearly understood by our ancestors. The modern 3 meals a day pattern emerged during the Industrial Revolution, which has led to a very negative effect on health due to high food consumption and processed foods. While some argue that modern health problems stem from an evolutionary mismatch, evidence suggests rapid adaptations to dietary changes as a major factor. Intermittent fasting may offer health benefits, but it should be approached systematically with realistic health goals, without damaging our internal body clocks and regulatory mechanisms. So what happens to your body at a cellular level during fasting? Fasting causes significant changes in the way our cells operate and our metabolism. In the initial stages, energy is derived from glycogen stores in the liver and muscles. This is how our body stores glucose, or energy for later use. However, after just 24 hours of fasting, glycogen stores become completely depleted, prompting the body to tap into its energy reserves from adipose tissue or fat cells and proteins. At the same time, triglycerides, a subtype of fat stored in the adipose tissue, gets broken down into ketone bodies, offering an alternate energy source. Additionally, gluconeogenesis, gluco meaning glucose, neo meaning new, and genesis meaning formation, takes place, which is just the process by which our body creates glucose from other sources besides food, like from amino acids. The body does this only when it does not get glucose from regular sources like food. During fasting, the pancreas is notably impacted as it releases glucagon, a hormone responsible for increasing blood sugar levels and maintaining glucose levels along with insulin. Simultaneously, the liver assumes a crucial role in glycogen storage and fat metabolism. Prolonged fasting also affects our muscles, which become a source of amino acids and can potentially result in muscle loss. Fasting relies on 3 types of energy metabolism: glycogen, lipid, and amino acid. Glycogen stores are depleted, leading to increased glucagon secretion, which triggers glycogenolysis. Lipid metabolism involves the breakdown of triglycerides into fatty acids and ketone bodies. Amino acids can be metabolized depending on whether they are glucogenic, ketogenic, or both. Basically, to put things into simpler terms, when you fast, your body faces the challenge of sourcing energy because you're not consuming food, right? So it relies on 3 primary sources: glycogen, the storage form of glucose; lipids, or fats; and amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. Think of glycogen as your body's quick energy snack, similar to an energy bar. At the start of fasting, your body taps into this stored glycogen to provide you with an initial burst of energy. This is done by a hormone called glucagon, which sends a signal to your body saying, "We need more snacks." This triggers a process called glycogenolysis, lysis meaning breakdown, so it's just the breakdown of glycogen. Which is similar to breaking down your energy bar into smaller pieces for immediate energy use. Once your glycogen stash is exhausted, your body then turns to stored fat for energy. It unlocks your body's fat reserves and converts them into a usable energy source, producing substances known as ketone bodies that your body can use as fuel. Once you run out of readily available fat cells to make enough ketones, your body turns to amino acids. They can be described as versatile Lego pieces your body can assemble into various things like enzymes, muscle, hormones, and energy when needed. Depending on the situation, some amino acids can be converted into energy, glucogenic, while others transform into ketones, ketogenic. So during fasting, your body behaves like a skilled chef, expertly using different ingredients, glycogen, fat, and amino acids to keep you energized even when you're not consuming regular meals. It goes into survival mode, making sure you have the necessary energy to function, even in the absence of regular food intake. Now that we understand what happens when we fast, let's now explore the various types of fasting. Daily fasting, or time-restricted eating, is a method that involves confining your eating to a specific time window each day, with the rest of the hours set aside for fasting. The easiest of this would be the 16:8 fasting approach, which consists of a 16-hour fasting period followed by an 8-hour window for eating. Unlike a strict diet, it grants you the freedom to enjoy any food during those 8 hours. For instance, you might opt to skip dinner and kickstart your day with breakfast at 10 a.m., but your last meal should not be after 6 p.m. This flexible approach with no dietary restriction is effective for weight management and can provide your digestive system with a break, potentially improving gut health. This is an ideal choice, especially for those new to fasting. After just 17 hours without food, your body springs into a form of superhero mode. This is called autophagy. At this stage, cells initiate self-repair, getting rid of all the toxins and unwanted materials. This is your body's ability to recycle aging and repair damaged cell components, including mutated cells, which are the initial points of cancer. This is important. So let's take a closer look at autophagy. Autophagy is a natural cellular process. It happens in everyone, and it plays a crucial role in maintaining our overall health and tissue integrity. It's our body's smart way of eliminating damaged or dysfunctional materials and recycling them to ensure the well-being of our cells. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. During fasting, when our bodies are in a state of nutrient deprivation, autophagy kicks into high gear as a survival mechanism. This incredible process allows our cells to break down and utilize their own components for energy, leading to the removal of damaged cellular parts and promoting cellular rejuvenation. However, it's essential to understand that autophagy isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for every health issue. Its effects can vary depending on specific conditions and contexts. In fact, autophagy is influenced by a variety of factors, including our diet, exercise routines, and genetics. That's why maintaining a healthy lifestyle that supports autophagy, like incorporating practices such as intermittent fasting and regular physical activity, can provide practical ways to harness its potential benefits. Autophagy takes center stage in maintaining cellular health. It efficiently rids our cells of misfolded proteins, damaged parts of cells, and cellular waste materials, which not only promotes better cell function but also supports longevity. Autophagy is a supporter of our immune system. It plays a key role in eliminating bugs within our cells and activating immune cells. This strengthens our body's defenses. It also contributes to cancer prevention by repairing damaged DNA and restraining tumor growth. Autophagy is also a master at reducing inflammation by clearing away pro-inflammatory molecules and damaged cellular components. It aids in detoxification, helping remove toxins and waste from our cells, thus reducing oxidative stress. As I mentioned many times on this channel, our bodies truly perform miraculous feats or cellular engineering. Okay, so now that we understand autophagy better, let's move on with our types of fasting. Next, we have the 20:4 fasting, also referred to as the warrior diet. This method requires fasting for 20 hours each day and eating within a 4-hour window. It's primarily known for potential weight loss benefits and health improvements, but it's essential to note that this method can be quite challenging and restrictive, making it unsuitable for everyone. Stepping up a notch, we have the 24-hour or a full day fast, which entails refraining from food and consuming only calorie-free beverages for an entire day, which is pretty much water. At the 24-hour mark, your digestive system will really feel the effects. Yes, I know many of us will feel it even at the 4-hour mark, but remember, this is how our bodies have been programmed for decades. We need to let our bodies unlearn these systems first. Fasting for 24 hours initiates the production of intestinal regenerative cells, repairing the digestive system, eliminating bad bacteria, and promoting a healthy gut environment. Next up, the 36-hour fast, or the monk fast. Although it is called this, I'm sure actual monks fast way more than this. As you might have guessed, A 36-hour fast allows the consumption of only calorie-free beverages for an extended 36-hour period. Research indicates that it aids in weight loss and encourages your body to rely on stored fat for energy rather than glucose. By this point, your body is in full fat burn and recycling mode. After 48 hours without food, the dopamine system in the brain resets, increasing motivation, calmness, and reduced anxiety. At 72 hours of fast, our bodies trigger the production of stem cells that can repair various parts of the body, making it effective for immune system enhancement and addressing chronic issues. This is almost 3 days of going without any food. This is probably the maximum I've tried to fast till date, and any further fast beyond 72 hours would be a very tricky situation with pros and cons swinging either way depending on individual routines, body composition, exercise levels, and pre-existing health conditions. So why is fasting a reason for concern? The effects of fasting are well studied and documented in healthy adults. However, we are significantly lacking the data for individuals who are underweight, malnourished, geriatric or elder population, and pediatric individuals or children. In other words, fasting isn't suitable for everyone. Tension-type headaches can occur in fasting, possibly due to factors such as hypoglycemia, dehydration, or caffeine withdrawal. Therefore, fasting should be ideally supervised by a physician or trained professional in these age groups. The psychological impact of fasting depends on factors such as duration and individual differences. Short-term fasting can lead to depression, anxiety, and irritability, but it can also have positive effects, including enhanced mood, physical performance, and mental clarity. The outcomes of these effects are influenced by factors such as religious beliefs, emotional control, assessment methods, prior fasting experience, and baseline mental state. Overall, the relationship between fasting and psychological well-being is complex and interrelated. That's why I urge you all to exercise caution before you embark on a fasting journey. Besides this, there is existing research like this article which shows that beyond a certain point, for many individuals, fasting results in breakdown of muscle tissue as their bodies use amino acids for generating glucose more than fat. So these individuals will see a significant decrease in their muscle mass and strength as they continue with fasting for extended periods of time. So you really need to listen to your body, as only you know your body more than anyone else in this world. See how you react to different types of food, workout routines, fasting, relaxation methods, and etc. If you feel like fasting does not work out for you, then don't go to the extreme versions of it. Keep it to a maximum within the 14 to 16 hour range. Many people lose weight and perform better by eating more than 6 to 8 small meals a day. You could be one of them, and only you would know. So talk to your body and find out what it needs. So then what's the best way to fast? Well, the answer to that question truly depends on the individual and their existing medical conditions. I'm hoping all the information I just gave you will be useful in determining whether you should fast or not. It's essential to consult your doctor before making any sudden lifestyle changes, especially if you're taking medication. While intermittent fasting offers numerous benefits, some individuals may encounter side effects such as headaches and constipation. Staying well hydrated and incorporating plenty of fruits and vegetables into your diet can help alleviate these issues. When it comes to reaping the rewards of intermittent fasting, your dietary choices during your eating window is the most crucial. There is no point doing 3 days of fast and then breaking it with some nice chicken fried in rancid oil or a large pepperoni pizza. Make sure you have good nutritious food, well balanced with carbs, protein, fat, and fiber. But don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. In the next video, I'll go deeper into why it is important to maintain muscle mass and how it is so important to your health, especially in the long run. I'll also give you the do's and don'ts of fasting. So stay safe, listen to your body, and give it what it needs. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you around.